The problem is that when people come in with a strong conviction and all you have is liberal democracy, there's no contest. You have no ideology.
Mm,
Your only principle in life is leave me alone.
mm.
That cannot compete with people who are religiously committed to an ideology. So yeah, people come into to the West with a strong opinion, we roll over.
The first thing I want to talk to you about today is the problem of radical Islam. We're seeing people rise up across the West right now at the moment and say, what is this problem in our midst? The fact that there is a, you know, Muslim population who have many within their community that feel that have values that are hostile to the West, to basic principles of freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and there's a culture, and this is from Mehdi Hassan, who is a progressive Islamist sympathetic spokesperson in America, said that anti-Semitism is the dirty little secret of the Muslim community. I'm not generalizing about every single Muslim at all, and I believe every human being is created in the image of God, but at the same time, it is naive and absurd not to pretend like there isn't a cultural problem that exists in many sections of the Islamic community. And so the question is, in the West, what is the way that it should be dealt with? Because you'll have some people who will say, we just need to educate and we need to try to de-radicalize, and just communication is the way forward. And then there are people on the other side who say, that the time for that has passed, quite frankly, and there's going to be a serious demographic issue in 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And if you want to just bury your head in the sand, you'll end up in 20 years from now where you have a population who may well be able to call the shots in society if it's democratic. And so they even call for even extreme measures, like talking about remigration and all these things. And I had a conversation with you last week in our Zoom call that you do with people that follow your website. And you were saying that you think there needs to be something needs to emerge from it within the Islamic world, and that we can't really solve it from the outside. I wondered if you could expand on this and this whole issue that the West is grappling with.
So there are two parts to this. Number one is the West really doesn't have morality in real life and in behavior. All of morality in the West is speech. Just say the right words and you're fine. Don't say the wrong words or you're dead. When people say, we believe in exterminating all our enemies, oh, that's terrible. If they're actually exterminating, oh, no, that's okay. Just don't say it. We've become so shallow, so superficial, that the real doesn't matter anymore, just the posturing. So if people come along and say, according to my religion, I have to kill you, oh, that's terrible. Then, for whatever reason, they're killing us. But they're not saying, I want to kill you. They're saying, I'm defending myself. Oh, okay, that's fine. Just say the right word and you can do the worst things.
Yeah.
I mean, here in New York, we have a candidate for mayor who's not only an anti-Semite, he's a communist.
Mm.
He will destroy the city. So if you're an American, why in the world would you vote for him? Not his views about Jews, his views about what he's going to do to you. No, he said, he said that Why can't we take people's beliefs seriously? Here is a group of people who say that religiously they are committed to killing you. Now they're sending rockets. They're bombing your cities. Why would they do that? Oh, ask them. So, oh, we're just defending ourselves. Oh, okay. On the other hand, Israel has a problem. They always say the right thing, they just don't do it. It's really painful to even think about it. 2 years ago, Israel said, we are going to go into Gaza and we're going to destroy Hamas. Last week's headline, Israel is set to go into Gaza. What did you do last time you went into Gaza? Oh, now we're getting serious. Now we're going to do it serious. Then why is it taking more than 3 days? There's something inconsistent in the way we perceive others' faith and the way we act on our faith. We have the right to defend ourselves. So why aren't you? We keep saying, oh, we have a right to defend ourselves. Well, then go ahead and do it. Oh, tomorrow. First, we'll send out leaflets inviting people to leave town. So it really goes back to what happened to being truthful? Doesn't that count anymore? Doesn't the truth matter? It's all about manipulating words, manipulating pictures, manipulating opinion. And we know it. We know it. How many times does the New York Times have to mess up and print fake pictures? And you do it once, you should be out of business. They've done it 10 times, 20 times. Now they're still in business. New York Times reported. One of the symptoms before the coming of Mashiach is that truth will become irrelevant. It has never been irrelevant. People covered their sins in the name of truth. That's how you justify being evil, is by claiming that it's the truth. Oh, if it's the truth, well then. Today, if you say it's the truth, nobody listens. What does that word even mean anymore? It's your truth, which means it's a lie. And that's okay. That's okay. Everybody lies because everybody has their own truth. So it's a contest of lies. Who lies best? Whoever tells the best lie wins. This is the world we live in. And it's everywhere, not only in war.
Mm.
It's true of love as well. True love? What a joke. Where is true love? In Hollywood? We're living on such an artificial level that it's literally making us sick, physically ill, because even our breathing is shallow. I guess it goes together. If your thinking is shallow, eventually your breathing is shallow, so you are barely alive. Just put on a good face, have some plastic surgery, fix everything artificially, and everybody will be impressed. It's not healthy. So it can't last. Can't. The other thing is Every accusation has its root in something true. Like back in the days of the Tsar, people accused the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe, of having designs of becoming the king of Israel because he raised a lot of money in Russia to support the little Jewish community that existed back then in Israel. But Israel at that time was occupied by the Turks, and Russia was at war with Turkey. So somebody accused the Alter Rebbe of supporting the Turks, sending money not to the Jewish community, but to the Turkish government to support them against Russia because he wanted to become the king of Israel. The most absurd thought, I mean, the furthest thing from the truth. In fact, when there was the war with Japan, I'm sorry, the war with France, the Alter Rebbe actually supported the Tsar. So there was absolutely no truth to it, other than the fact the Alter Rebbe wanted to make God the king of Israel. So there's your little kernel of truth. Jews want to take over the world. What a weird accusation. Where's the truth? The truth is we do. We want the whole world to serve God. Is that called taking over the world? Yeah, ideologically. There are people who ideologically want to take over the world, but they first have to kill a few people. How is Sharia law going to govern the whole world? Well, you kill the infidel. What if it turns out that killing the infidel doesn't really take over the world? Yeah, so what? So is it really the ideology? Or has it become a bloodlust?
Mm.
So to find the truth, like just recently, the media has started using the word what are they calling Israel's behavior now?
Genocide.
Well, that's old. They
Well,
came up
the
with another.
UN just came out confirming that.
Oh, okay. Um, I forget the word they use. Something like disgusting or
No, they
well,
wouldn't call us that.
no, they wouldn't. No, it's not. It's not the word. Something similar. But the point of it is this: is this war?
Demonic? Maybe demonic. I don't know.
No, 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 like a disturbingly unacceptable, like
Right.
distasteful in some way. Um, well, that's true. It's true. Not because of what Israel is doing, but because of what they're not doing. It is upsetting and disturbing because this war should have been over a year ago, almost 2 years ago.
Mm.
So, what's really disturbing is that Israel just doesn't do what it needs to do.
Mm.
It just keeps talking. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Our purpose is this. Our purpose is that. Just stop talking and get the war done. That's what everybody wants. End the war. Not the way they want,
Mm.
but the way you end the war by
So I
defeating your enemy.
right. I really do want to go into to Israel and what Israel needs to do. But just before we get there, just circling back on this issue of the problem of Islamic extremism in the West. What do you think for people who are concerned about this in the West? What do you believe they need to be doing at a grassroots level, and does the government need to be doing at a governmental policy level? to tackle this, because many people are racking their brains.
Every government should do what is best for their country. They're not doing it. Why?
Well, what would that look like?
You don't allow radicals to operate in your country.
Well, the challenging part is that you have a community, many of which are sympathetic to radicals, and will have people who will vote for candidates that will support radical policy, but they themselves cannot be explicitly incriminated. And that's the big problem.
So then just turn the keys over to the radicals and go home. Let them have your country.
Mm.
Are you ready to do that?
Well, I hope not.
There was a very large march, protest march in England.
Yeah.
So there is some resistance.
There is, yeah. But some of these people are calling for a remigration plan.
Whatever it takes. I think that the problem is that when people come in with a strong conviction and all you have is liberal democracy, there's no contest. Some famous rabbi once visited Israel. From Israel. He visited the United States, and somebody said, "So what do you think of the philosophy of the United States?" He says, "The United States has no philosophy. You have no ideology. Your only principle in life is leave me alone."
Mm.
That cannot compete with people who are religiously committed to an ideology. So yeah, people come into to the West with a strong opinion, we roll over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because all we can say is, "But I don't want to do that."
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't want to.
Yeah, and Islam and Islamism is filling the vacuum of the moral ambiguity and bankruptcy of the West and secularism. But the question is, do you think we can actually cut through to within the Muslim community as well, or do you think it only can be addressed with a stick rather than carrot?
Well, I'm not sure how we can penetrate into the radical believers, but the change has to happen there. Otherwise, we'll just have continued conflict.
Mm.
So when the truth finally dawns, and it will, that means that those radicals will recognize the truth and de-radicalize. Then we'll have peace. Yeah. So there's only one of two ways. Either kill your enemy, which would be very, very sad, or get them to recognize the truth, which would be very, very good. Very good. Because all that radical idealism would now be channeled towards the good.
Before we continue with the video, I want to share something with you. The entire anti-Israel movement is built on one central accusation: that in 1948, Israel stole the land, and ever since, Palestinians have simply been resisting. But what if everything we've been told about this story is untrue? What if the real history of 1948 shows not Arabs being forced out, but Jews, while seeking peace, having to fight for their survival against a genocidal enemy that willed its destruction long before Israel's re-establishment? Have a watch of the trailer for our new, groundbreaking and essential documentary entitled What Really Happened in 1948. And if you want to see the full film, just click the link in the video description. In 1948, the world witnessed the rebirth of the Jewish state, the State of Israel. a moment celebrated as a miracle of survival and self-determination after centuries of persecution and the horrors of the Holocaust. Yet for decades, this event has been twisted into a narrative of theft and catastrophe, with the so-called Nakba portrayed as Israel's original sin, where Jews allegedly stole Arab land and displaced innocents in a premeditated act of ethnic cleansing. But what if this story is fundamentally inverted? What if the cause and effect are the other way around? Not Israel aggressively seizing territory and Arabs responding in self-defense, but Arabs, driven by deep-seated hatred, rejecting the Jews' legal and historical rights to live in their ancestral homeland and waging a genocidal war long before Israel's re-establishment. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to uncover the unvarnished truth about 1948, the centuries of pogroms and anti-Semitic violence that set the stage, the Arab leaders' explicit calls for extermination, and the defensive war Israel fought to secure its existence. We'll challenge the pervasive lies head-on, showing how Arab rejection of peace wasn't about creating a Palestinian state, but about denying Jews the right to live at all. From the Nazi-allied leader of the Arabs in Palestine, the Mufti al-Husseini, to the forgotten occupations by Jordan and Egypt, when no Palestinian state was even considered, this is the story of a conflict rooted not in displacement, but in whether the Jews deserve to live in their homeland. Join us as we debunk the myths with facts, confront the historical record fairly but firmly, and reveal why 1948 was not an act of aggression, but a righteous response to annihilation. This is what really happened in 1948. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description. Right. But from a Jewish moral perspective, and I guess now this very issue also we can talk about it with regard to the Palestinians as well, because Israel too is living next to a population, the vast majority of whom are sympathetic and or support the Hamas program of Israel's destruction. Do you think there too the governmental policy has to be determined by security alone, and that while we can hope that we can de-radicalize them, that it really is within the realms of wishful thinking? We can't be determined policy based on that, because you have some people in Israel who say, and this was really fascinating to me. I was having a discussion with someone on Shabbos, someone who really hates Netanyahu and thinks he's tearing apart Israel and and the war's been going on too long, which happens to be you'd agree with him, but for differing reasons. And I said to him, but how do we resolve this without some kind of relocation plan, which, by the way, the President of the United States has endorsed? And he said, it's unacceptable. We have to find a way to de-radicalize them. I said, would you risk your family's security on the hope that your neighbors who want to kill you, let's just try and de-radicalize them? And furthermore, I said, we're dealing with a population, the majority of whom support a modern-day Nazi program. And he said, I don't care. It's still immoral to move a population like that. And I said, why? He said, well, not all of them support what Hamas do, and so therefore it's immoral. And I said, well, let's just ask a hypothetical. Let's imagine that forget even Hamas, Palestinians, everything. Let's imagine there was a literal Nazi state in Judea and Samaria and in Gaza. And all of them, every single one of them, signed up to the program of trying to destroy the Jews. Do you think there we would have a right and moral duty to, drive these people out from our midst? He said it's still immoral in that case. I thought, well, that literally just shows it. This is a suicidal morality.
According to their thinking, how can you kill a terrorist? Doesn't he have a family? Isn't his mother going to be devastated? Aren't his children going to be left orphans? It's immoral to do that to the family. So you cannot kill a criminal out of concern for the fallout of the civilians in his life. It's absurd. Yes, if your father and husband is a murderer, you're going to lose him. Oh, but you're innocent. Why should you suffer?
Suicidal.
So here's the thing: de radicalizing is not really the objective. The objective is re radicalizing. Stop being radical for a bad cause and become radical for the truth.
Mm,
The radical versus non radical, you've lost the game.
mm,
Non radical cannot win against radical. There was a Jewish boxer who was doing very, very well in the amateur world. His technique was great. Everybody was writing about it. He's Russian, and he was really, really good until finally they matched him up with a professional. He lasted 90 seconds. He was knocked out because the professional came in there to kill him. He came in there to show people a nice boxing match. You can't win against a radical unless you are more radical
mm,
for what is true and real.
mm.
The United States was founded on radical beliefs. We stopped being radical. Now we have no beliefs at all.
Mm.
Just leave me alone. Even
So do you always think?
Jackie Mason has a routine about New Yorkers. Get out of my way. Get out of my. You're in my way. Where are you going? I don't know. But get out of my way. You're interfering with what? I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think human beings almost need to be radical in a way? They need to feel I have a radical cause I'm living for.
Yes, life is radical,
Mm.
not casual.
Yeah.
Casually alive, you're boring.
I think this is actually something that the assassination of Charlie Kirk has woken up in people because he very much was a radical, and he said you take he worked so hard every day, and so many people, especially young men, are taking life less casually now. But this particular issue, though, of so what you're saying is with the whole issue of radicalism is that we have to govern from a place of strength and security, and then we can try and educate and re-radicalize them towards the truth, but not count on that as a guarantee. The first responsibility is security.
Well, if we were radical in what we believe, there wouldn't have been a war in the first place.
What do you mean?
Radicals don't start up with radicals.
Mm,
Bullies always look for an easy victim. The West is an easy victim because we're not radical. The Torah is radical. It's not casual. It's
yeah.
not live and let live. It's fiercely, fiercely, intensely moral.
Mm, yeah.
Right is a powerful statement. It doesn't mean leave me alone.
But what would you say for those who say the Torah promotes balance? We spoke before about Christianity drifting towards mercy, Islam towards din and law, and Torah is about balance.
Because truth is a balance. Any anything that departs from truth is false. But truth itself is more powerful, not neutral.
But is there a contradiction between balance and radical?
Balance in the sense of truth is much stronger than radical, much more powerful. People who are radical can swing, one day you're radically liberal, the next day you're radically conservative.
Mm,
Truth doesn't. You can't shake truth.
mm,
So truth is, in a sense, more extreme because there's no compromise to truth. There is compromise to radical. You scare them, they stop being radical. So you have to be passionate about your beliefs. And it's hard to be passionate about leave me alone.
yeah.
I passionately want to be left alone. That's not a philosophy, it's not an ideology, it's vacuous.
Right, right. I think even in America, they need to have a deep think about what our values are because so often people, even on the conservative faith-based side, will say, we believe in freedom and the rights of man. And it's like, okay, that's very nice, but is that radically enough to give people a sense of meaning? I passionately believe in freedom. To do what?
Yeah. The rabbi in Minnesota was giving a course back in the 70s. The slogan then was, "You have the right to be different." Everybody was championing that cause. In America, you have a right to be different. And this rabbi said, "Yeah, if by being different you are right."
Mm, I like that.
Just to be different for the sake of different? It's so childish, it's so empty, it's so shallow, it's totally meaningless.
I love that.
You have a right to be different if by being different you will be right. But if by being different you're wrong, you have no right to be wrong.
That's great. I love that. So, but particularly then, just because sometimes I speak to people in Israel and government, and it's just good to know, just to refine exactly what you believe the prescription should be. People that are calling for remigration and relocation, like let's say with the Palestinians in Gaza, do you believe this is something that Israel should do based on incentivizing people and offering them financial packages and say, or should this be something that's, if it were to be done by force, many people say, how would you do that? Because if you basically say go to the Egyptian border, go to the Jordanian border, you're essentially starting a war with these countries. And is that smart for Israel's security?
According to Jewish law concerning war, you give them three options: stand and fight, and then we're going to have to kill you, or surrender and become second class citizens, or leave. Nowhere does it say pay people to leave.
Right.
If you don't want to stay here, then leave. That's the most moral thing you can do.
But no one's going to take them in, as far as I understand.
That's not true.
Okay, good.
It was never
Who?
true.
All the Arab countries say they don't want them.
Let them figure it out. Telling them where to go is not freedom. You're free to go. Go wherever you want. I'm not going to tell you where to go. I'm going to give you a ticket to a certain destination. Jackie Mason said, people ask, where should they go? He said, what am I, a real estate agent? I have to find them an apartment?
I have to say, by the way, the other thing I keep thinking is, for our whole history, we've been told you've got to go and forced out, and they're not giving us a plan. Huh?
And nobody wanted us.
Right. Right. Yeah. And by the way, I always say as well, it's not like we haven't tried to live alongside you for 100 years, tried to give you a state, do this. I don't want to do any of this. I'm the last person to want to move an animal, let alone a human being. But you've blown it. You've chosen war and genocide and ethnic cleansing for us over 100 years. You leave us with no choice.
Why don't we believe people when they say, religiously, we are not allowed to permit you to live in the Middle East?
It's normalcy bias.
Why don't you believe them? Why don't you have the respect, the courtesy? They tell you that according to their belief, you cannot stay here. You don't believe them?
Yeah, it's normalcy
I mean,
bias. The assumption that that such terrible things can't be really wished or willed for. It must be there's a rational explanation that they're just being hyperbolic. We did the
and
same thing
that
with Hitler.
and that hyperbolic has been killing us for 70 years. So believe people, because people do really live by their faith.
Hmm.
Maybe we don't, but some people do. So if they say that this is what their faith dictates, believe them.
Hmm. So you're not
Doesn't
saying
mean
you believe. Go on, go for it.
don't agree with them, but believe that they are motivated by their faith.
Yeah, yeah. I think we are increasingly understanding that. Even Netanyahu in his speech with Iran, he said, if someone wants to kill you, believe them. But of course, and now he said, there will never be a Palestinian state. But you're saying, so you're not necessarily saying they should be driven out in a way that could potentially risk starting a war with Egypt or Jordan.
We don't want to start a war with anybody. We've had enough.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
people leaving because they're irreconcilable differences with the government that they're living in, that's so normal. That's so common in history. So the radical belief that Israel belongs to the Jewish people eternally, that's pretty radical. Huh?
Yeah.
We need to be more passionate about that, and the war would never have started.
And do you think, this is an interesting question that I was thinking of that I wanted to ask you. Do you think that there never has been an Arab-Palestinian state in the land to date? But do you think there never will be one because the land simply cannot, and there never has been a sovereign state in the land other than a Jewish one? And do you think that's because the land at a spiritual level cannot tolerate any sovereign state other than a Jewish one? Is that like a inherent truth in the world?
Yes, and history has borne that out. The Babylonians occupied Israel. It never became Babylonia.
Mm.
The Romans occupied it, never became Little Rome, and so on throughout all of history. The Persians, the Turks, the British, it always remained the Holy Land.
Mm.
It never became some other land.
Mm. Mm.
And they were very powerful nations. So yeah, it's true. But we have to really believe that passionately so that we don't look like easy targets.
Yeah.
People undecided, not committed, no ideology. They can't even explain why they want to be in Israel. Jews can't explain it. Well, we have no place else to go. Well, that's pretty pathetic.
Well, I mean, literally, I was in Israel just 2 weeks ago, and I did a live stream in Tel Aviv, on the streets of Tel Aviv, and I said, this is your chance to ask Israelis anything you want, and I just post a question, I'll just go up to an Israeli and ask them. So I go up to this woman, stop, I said, are you Israeli? Do you mind if I ask you a quick question? Sure. How are you finding life in Israel over the past few years? She said, is Tel Aviv or Israel? I said, what do you mean by that? She said, well, listen, Tel Aviv, it's a lovely, liberal, energetic, vibrant, diverse city. But Israel at large, very conservative, religious. It's becoming more and more hawkish, and I don't know. It's the last few years of war have been tough here, and I'm starting to reconsider whether I want to live here. I thought, wow, that really, the fact that she felt that way, it shows that what they will self implode themselves if you don't have a belief at a deep cosmic level that we belong there.
Hmm. Yeah, and the enemy are so quick to pick up on that.
Mm,
They smell it from
mm,
miles away. The lack of conviction.
yeah,
On the other hand, on the part of the soldiers, the commitment is absolute. It's
yeah.
unimaginable.
Hmm.
Maybe even too much. Are you as a soldier in Israel? Are you allowed to ask, what is the point of this war? What exactly is our goal here in Gaza? We're not allowed to ask that. I'm giving my life for it. Can I at least know what I'm doing? That's the negative side. The positive side is the unconscious connection that Jews have with God, not the intentional one, the unconscious one, has become so apparent even to the enemy that might tip the scales.
I'm so excited to share with you something that I've been working on for a while. We've just taken JTV content to the next level. Introducing JTV Plus, a new platform streaming exclusive content created and handpicked by me. Get ready for jaw-dropping documentaries, exclusive interviews, insider access, and so much more. JTV Plus brings you captivating stories that will shock and inspire you. Stories that honestly, I'm discovering for the first time too. From Israel to Jewish history to Judaism, it's all there. In exclusive interviews, you'll hear guests open up about things they've never shared publicly before. Plus, I'll take you behind the scenes where I get a lot more personal with you. By joining JTV Plus, you're not just joining an exclusive community, you're partnering with me to help JTV reach new heights. Just search j-tv.plus and join our exclusive community today. There's a link in the video description. I'll see you there.
The enemy is seeing something in the Jews they captured that they have never even dreamed was possible. A connection to God that is not artificial, it's not religious, it's not fanatical, it's just real.
And natural.
Like imagine a hostage in a tunnel saying, I want to go home. Would you ask them, why? Why would you want to go home? What kind of question is that?
Mm.
I want to keep Shabbos. Why? What kind of question is that? There's something in the Jew, unconscious, but I need to keep Shabbos. And you can't ask why. That is magnificent.
Mm.
That is godliness that has come down to earth. It's as real as I want to go home. No further questions. So that could really save the world. because that kernel of truth would scare even the most radical hater. They just never saw it.
Oh yeah.
When they do see it, they have to lay down their weapons. They can't fight this.
And from a Torah perspective, is there room for non-Jews to be living in Israel?
Sure. There are all sorts of laws about non-Jews living in Israel. It's not that they can't. There is room for them, given certain conditions, of course.
Which are?
Not if not, not if you're coming in to preach your own religion. Not if you're there to change the country. If you're there to participate in the destiny of the Jewish people, then you're perfectly welcome. And you don't have to become a Jew. But if you're there to cause disturbance, of course you're not welcome. Like the snake in the Garden of Eden, you're not welcome.
Mm. So, I mean, listen, Israel houses people who, some may be perfectly loyal to Israel, even fight in the IDF, but they don't practice, or they practice another religion.
If that religion is antagonistic, then we can't tolerate it. Take people's beliefs seriously, even if they're not killing you at the moment.
If it's not antagonistic, but it doesn't agree, let's say, with some of the fundamental Jewish theological beliefs.
That's called antagonistic. If your beliefs are incompatible, there's a problem.
But let's say, for example, a deeply devoted to Israel evangelical Christian.
Well, if a deeply evangelical Christian believes that all Jews must be converted or they're going to go to hell, we got a problem here.
Mm.
It's not violent yet, but
Well, some people would look at that and they'd say this is, it's violating Israel's democratic liberal principles, and this ultimately, as each day passes, Israel's having this. It's becoming clearer and clearer. Israel's going to have to face a choice between what it wants to be. It can't really be just Jewish and democratic in equal measure forever. It's going to have to make a choice.
You can be very democratic. Doesn't mean you have to allow a threat to your existence do their work on your soil. If you want to be my enemy, at least have a country of your own. Don't eat my food and be my enemy. So here's the myth that the West creates. Not all Muslims are radicals. You have good Muslims. What's a good Muslim? A Muslim who doesn't really believe in Islam. If they tell you that my religion demands that I kill you, is that a good Muslim?
Well, they try and say there's no one shared agreed interpretation of some of the more insightful passages in the Quran, or that the radicals have mistakenly interpreted it. That's what they always say.
But the definition of the word, when they say they believe that God wants them to kill you, that's not a good Muslim?
Well, indeed. It just depends on what Islam actually decrees, because
Yes.
yeah.
In other words, again, why don't you respect people's beliefs? Again, you don't have to agree with them, you don't have to tolerate them, but respect the fact that they're loyal to what they believe.
Well, they
That
say,
doesn't,
look, they say
It makes
most
them bad for
Muslims.
you. Doesn't make them bad Muslims.
But people will push back and they'll say, who is to say that the radical Muslims are really the ones that are most since devoutly following Islam? That's what they say, seeing as that it's they're a big minority, but they are a minority. One might argue, although some may argue actually no, they're not a minority. There are some people who are the violent actors, but many Muslims support it. So not so straightforward.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. They try to. The West refuses to accept in their minds the possibility that Islam itself decrees these violent things.
Yeah. And does Christianity demand that everyone be converted to Christianity?
Well, as far as I understand, most Christians or most denominations of Christianity believe you have to believe in Jesus in order to be saved by God. So the obvious logical conclusion of that, out of generosity, would be that everyone needs to become Christian.
So there were times when they were forcing people to convert, torturing people into converting. There are times when they try to seduce people into converting. How dangerous is that? So it's just a degree of danger that you're dealing with. But to simply say, well, there are some good Christians, they don't want to convert you. Then what does Christian mean?
I have to
If
say, I
they
do feel
don't,
that a lot of the Christians I speak to, and that support, JTV and this work, I feel in their hearts they're completely sincere. Mike Huckabee, Rubio, like their love for Israel. I feel like you can almost hold. Can they not hold two things at the same time? They think ideally, yes, they'd want to convert you, but they don't try to impose it, and they really do love Israel, and they see much of the truth that we see.
no, there was a Jewish girl years ago who got caught up in a Christian cult in Mississippi or something. And she came to our program. And at every opportunity, she tried to introduce a Christian idea, grace instead of law, things like that. When she raised her hand, I wouldn't call on her. So finally, she said, how come you don't let me ask a question? I said, because I don't talk to anti Semites. She says, I'm not an anti Semite, I'm Jewish. So we had a little conversation about that. Eventually, I asked her, I know you would never harm a Jew, but if you heard that in Germany they're killing Jews, would you know why they're doing it? She says, yeah, because they didn't accept the Savior. I said, you are an anti Semite. You're not going to kill Jews, but if you hear that Jews are being killed, you would understand. So you're the passive anti Semite.
Well, there are some religious Jews who will do the same thing. They'll say that it's horrendous to say these words. I don't agree with them for 1 second, but they'll say that all these suffering and exile are some kind of punishment or whatever.
Horrific.
Horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
Are they
Sure.
anti-Semites?
I just heard this recently. Somebody once said to the Rebbe, why are you reaching out to non-Jews? Doesn't the Gemara say that before Mashiach comes, 2/3 of the world are going to have to be killed out? So there are two parts to that question. One is there's a contradiction. You're saying reach out to non-Jews. The Talmud seems to be saying they're all going to have to die. The other problem is your mindset. So the Rebbe's answer was, I'm the problem? Or is the problem the sages are saying that 2/3 of the world have to be killed and you have no problem with that? I'm the problem? In other words, it doesn't literally mean that 2/3 of the world are going to die. So you got to figure out what it does mean. But the fact that you took it literally and that you're okay with the thought that 2/3 of the world are going to have to die, what is wrong with you?
Hmm. Presumably, I mean,
So,
you read it as some kind of spiritual death in which people have to change their whole ideological worldview.
but the answer was so characteristic of the Rebbe. Why are you okay with a statement like that?
Yeah.
And who is saying that? The sages?
Hmm.
The sages are saying they're okay with 2/3 of the world's population dying? Where are you coming from? Who did this to you? How were you raised?
Well, they're saying they're not. The sages might not be saying they're okay with it. They're just saying this is
Right.
inconvenient
I'm not.
truth.
I'm not going to kill 2/3 of the world. Of course not. But it's okay when it happens. It's okay. What are you
Right.
saying about God? What are you saying about God? He created 8 billion people, and he's going to kill 2/3 of them.
I mean,
So,
they point to they'd point to the flood. They'd point to the fact that there are all these kind of terrible things that happen in the Torah and curses and all that. Like, it's not. Yes, there were a lot fewer people at the time of the flood, but
and God promised that that's never going to happen again. So,
yeah, yeah,
what God are you believing in?
yeah.
So, the Christian who believes all Jews need to be converted or they're going to go to hell. They're not going to harm anybody. But God forbid. It's like these missionaries who knock on your door and they want to convert you. And you say, I'm not interested, leave me alone. They walk away saying, fine, go to hell. They're not dangerous, but it's dangerous. And it's not paranoia, it's common sense.
Was that the end of your story with this girl that was Jewish girl that was had these Christian beliefs, or did I cut it off?
That was the end of the story, but you want to know what happened to her?
Sure.
Well, she became a totally observant Jew and has a big family and lives in Borough Park.
Imagine you're running for your life. Your home is no longer yours. Your neighbours spit at you in the streets. The government has branded you an enemy, stripped you of your rights, your livelihood, your humanity. You're a Jew in Nazi Germany, 1938, and the world knows your people are being crushed under Hitler's iron fist. You're desperate, clutching a suitcase with everything you own, praying for a visa, a ticket, a country, any country that will let you in. Now imagine this. The world's most powerful nations gather to decide your fate. 32 countries meeting in a lavish hotel by a serene lake with the power to save you, to save hundreds of thousands like you. And one by one, they say no. Welcome to JTV. I'm Ollie Annisfeld, and today we're diving into one of the most gut-wrenching, shameful chapters in modern history, the Evian Conference of 1938. This was the moment when the world had a chance to stand up, to open its doors, to save countless Jewish lives from Nazi persecution, and turned its back. This is a story of hope dangled and then snatched away, of sympathy that never became action, of a failure that paved the way for the Holocaust. We'll uncover every layer of what happened at Evian, why it unfolded the way it did, and the chilling warning it holds for us today. This is not just history, It's a mirror, forcing us to confront who we are when the world cries out for help. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.